everyone, it's Orly and Dottie here. We are back for another episode of Seeds of Success. Today's show topic, be a stalker. Yeah, that kind of sounds a little weird, I know. And as I mentioned
Yeah.
before, I wrote a lot of these titles and I told Dottie, you got to kind of read into them before before you kind of get scared with the titles that I'm coming up with. So Dottie, we have Be a Stalker. Do you want to kind of give a little background on what today's episode is going to be about?
Yes, I would love to. Orly, when I first saw the title of this show, I was like, yes, I get it because I recently had an experience. I went into a really well-known steakhouse locally, and I ordered their signature drink, right? And I was so frustrated that they came back to me and said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Can you make another selection? We're out of the main ingredient for this drink." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is a signature drink. How can you possibly be out of the ingredients to this drink?" So when I saw that you had chosen this as the title and the topic for today's podcast, I'm like, I get it. Yes, this is very, very important to be stocked in your supplies for your bowling center.
Yeah,
Um,
and
you
that's
know,
as now most people know, it's stalker as in stalking something, not stalker as in
Although we've been known to do that when we're
yeah,
looking for guests for our show,
yeah.
correct?
Yeah, but I totally agree. Yeah, you never know. I mean, when you're going to run out of something, or when even, for instance, some companies, you might order a certain French fry and they say, "Oh, we're out of that fry this week." Like things happen where it's not your fault, but you just always want to make sure, inventory wise, to just keep everything in house whether it's the kitchen, the front end, whether it's plastic spoons and forks, ketchup, everything. I mean, it's very important to have your product. People expect you to have the product that they order, on a each week when they come in. So if you run out of that, it can cause an issue with the customer being a little upset, or just with your sales in general.
Yeah, and that also applies to other things, not just products for food and beverage operations, right? But it also, you need to stay fully stocked on other things as well. So your brochures, your birthday party flyers, things along those lines. And speaking of birthday parties, to make sure that you're always monitoring what you have on hand for your birthday party, your plates and napkins and cups and balloons and whatever else that you have that goes into your birthday party experience. All of those things, it's so it's so it can really make the experience less if you don't have the products and a customer is expecting to have balloons at their birthday party, but oh, by the way, I ran out of helium. That doesn't look very well.
Yeah.
So I definitely, and the thing is, you should have par sheets. You should know what you should have as a minimum on hand at all times.
Yeah.
So with everything, even like your shoes, do you have a par sheet for your shoes?
I do not have a par sheet for my shoes, so you called me out on that there a little,
Yeah.
but I do.
Yeah.
But I will say we're fully stocked on our shoes, and I do have backups when it comes to our shoes. So I did a big order and made sure to have a lot of extra shoes in, because I was noticing, again, I mean, we ran out of stuff. We weren't stocked. We were running out of kid shoes. There'd be a big kid party, and we have limited sizes, limited quantity on some of the sizes. So I made sure to get all those ordered up, and I learned a lesson to make sure I have a little back stock in that, because we were getting these big school events that come in. And when all these school age kids are around the same size, they all need the same size shoes. I'm
Yes.
not saying you need 90 pairs of size one, but at least something in the area, just in case you get a big event. Because then you, of course, get the people, well, can they just go in their socks, or can they go in their regular shoes? So you want to be prepared. And yeah, you definitely, you make mistakes and you learn from that. So I definitely did, but I'm fully stocked now.
Yeah, and things like shoes, if you come in and you don't have the size, that's lost revenue, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with, gift cards, for example. Make sure that you, especially around the holidays, make sure that you have plenty of gift cards on hand so that when customers come in and they're looking for one, you have, what they're looking for. And that goes for if you have the cute little customized folders for their gift, for the gift cards, or containers for the gift cards or whatever. Make sure that you have those. The worst thing under the sun is for someone to come into your center and be expecting to order the famous cheese sticks that you're well known for, and they've got their tasters all set, right? And they go up to the front up to the snack bar to order the cheese sticks, and they're told, I'm sorry, we are currently out. That's not something you want anybody to hear in your center, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I've had that happen before, even like at a famous fast food restaurant. You walk in, and especially when they're so used to you having that item, like I've gone into a famous fast food restaurant, I won't call them out, and they were like, actually, we're currently out of fries. Our truck hasn't got here yet. And I'm thinking, you're out of fries, and your burgers and fries are your main thing you sell, and I think nowadays you have to take into consideration, you know, um, I don't know if it was a COVID thing, but some things were taking longer to get, or they were harder to get a hold of. You have to take
Right.
that into consideration, because nowadays there's back order on things, or it just takes longer to get some shipments in. So take that in consideration when making your orders.
The other thing that should be taken into consideration as well is to take a look at the calendar.
Okay.
We all know
Yeah.
that when there's a school holiday, we're going to be busier. And we all know that during school holidays, when we're busier, there are certain items that fly out the door a lot quicker than other items, during a normal routine week.
Yeah.
So get in the habit of, taking a look at especially the school calendar, the community calendar, what else is going on in the community. Depending on the market that you're in and the size of your community, if there's a big convention coming in or whatever, and there's a possibility of having, more open play during that time, certainly take all of that into consideration. And, as we mentioned earlier, most centers do par sheets for their alcohol and their beer and their food and stuff like that, shoes. So if you don't have a par sheet, definitely, consider doing that. Get a simple little par sheet of what, the very minimum that you should keep in stock at all time. It makes it easier when you start to place an order, things along those lines. And you can even get your food service provider to help you with that. If you're needing to do that. So I would certainly encourage that. But yeah, make sure that you are taking a good look at everything that you have in your center. Even giveaways, for example. If you are one of those centers that's constantly doing fun things to keep the crowds excited and engaged, maybe you're doing Lucky Train. That's one of my favorites to run during open play. Make sure that you have adequate amount of gift cards that are available for promo, or whatever your prize happens to be.
Yeah.
Same thing if you have promotional merchandise with your center logo and stuff on there, and you've got it, on display somewhere that people can purchase. Make sure that you have ample sizes in store, or ample stock, so that when a customer comes up and they're wanting something like that, they don't have to be told, no, I'm sorry, we're out. What that equates to is, the customer doesn't just hear, no, I'm sorry, we're out. They hear, no, this person didn't plan wisely.
Yeah. And sometimes it might be one little thing, but if it's, there's going to be the one person that's, oh, they're always out of everything, when even though it was just that one item. So yeah, it makes a huge impact, even if it's just one item, one time it happens. I mean, I get it. It does happen, but if you could prevent it, just do your best to prevent it and stay stocked the whole time.
Yeah, and what I'll say is back to what I said in the beginning with that restaurant. Not only did they not have the signature, they weren't able to provide me with the signature drink that I wanted, but when they brought the bread out to the table, they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, this isn't our normal bread. We ran out and we had to go to the local supermarket." And I was just blown away. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." To be paying what we're paying for a steak dinner experience, and I am getting a fast food experience, not even a fast food
Yeah.
experience. I was very, very disappointed. And to be quite honest, I really hesitated to go back because I'm like, you know what? This was not a cheap experience, but yet there was a number of issues that came up that made me think of that they just were not on top of their game.
Yeah, they
Um,
and they and people notice. You sometimes might think like, oh, they don't. They know. I mean, they notice everything. We have cheese curds, for instance. This last time around, we ordered cheese curds, but they sent us a different type. I don't know if they ran out there, but they were square instead of more of a rounded. And people were like, "Oh, the cheese curds are square this week." So even something as simple as that,
of
or even as
course.
something as simple as a napkin, people remember. They remember that, like, oh, these aren't the regular napkins you use. I mean, I get people make changes, but they remember everything. So yeah.
And you know, Orly, that's another topic for another day, but people do look at those little things and you know, those little things make a big difference to the customer. So listeners, tune in and to us on a weekly basis because these are things that we're going to talk about. Those little bitty things that you don't think make a big difference to a customer, they genuinely do. But running out of something isn't a little thing. That's a big thing. And it
Yeah.
does have a huge impact on the overall experience for your customer. So
Yeah.
in this case, Orly, I now get the title 100%. And I agree. You've got to be a stalker and make sure that you're stocking up and having everything readily available so that you can deliver exactly what your customer wants.
I agree 100%.
Okay, listeners. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to us today. Orly, I like your topic. It is so relevant, and especially after the bad experience that I had at my local steak restaurant. So, folks, don't disappoint your customers like my favorite restaurant disappointed me. So make sure that you stock up and also make plans to join us next week for another Seeds of Success. Thanks for listening, everyone.